Let's change gears real quick. We don't have anybody on the line right now, but let's talk about uninsured motorist.
Oh, Lord.
And you know,
it's the most valuable thing that you can buy on your auto insurance policy.
Now, how many times, I mean, back early on, we did the show quite often, and we tell our attorneys that come on here to always try to talk about uninsured motorist, and why is that?
You know, Larry, you're taking the risk out of, and you're absorbing some of the, or you're eliminating some of the risk, I guess is a better way of saying it. You know, when you're riding down the road, you know, and, you know, for the average person, they really don't read their insurance policy. And not only the average person, but a lot of people found out they didn't read their insurance policies during Hurricane Michael to see what kind of coverages they had or didn't have. You know, they thought they just had homeowners coverage.
Right.
But applying, you know, going forward and talking about your auto policies, you know, you think you have full coverage, and you're sold a product that says, you know, you're complying with Florida law and you have full
Alabama
coverage,
law,
or Alabama
Georgia
law,
law,
or Georgia law. And it's only until the moment that you get in an accident that you realize that you don't have the coverage that you need. And typically, that is uninsured motorist coverage. And that uninsured motorist coverage protects you and your family against someone else who is underinsured or maybe not insured at all. And when you look back on it, if you could have a crystal ball and see how cheap and inexpensive that uninsured motorist actually is, you're like, why didn't I have that?
Right.
You know, and it protects you in your vehicle, it protects your family in your vehicle when they are
Protects you in a rental car.
Rental cars when they're in someone else's vehicle, kids at school. I mean, my goodness, I mean, there's a litany of things, and it's a broad umbrella of the protection, the coverage it provides for you. And so, if you have questions about it, it's a little acronym on your policy. It's called UIM or UM. And please look at your policy. Make sure that you do have it. It's relatively inexpensive considering the coverage that it provides, and you'll be so thankful that you have it.
Right.
And you'd be like, your thought process should be like, my goodness, thank goodness that I have it now, and I don't have to worry about that.
And we want to make sure people understand there's two different types of uninsured motorists. It's stacked and non-stacked. We always tell people to get the stacked, and because you get the stacked, you get to add your policies together, so you get additional protection. Uninsured motorist is cheap. I mean, it's, you know, anywhere from $20 to $40 per 6 months for $25,000 worth of coverage. And, you know, some people say, well, I can't afford that.
Right.
Get what you can afford. And if we are there to protect you and your family with that U coverage, that uninsured motorist, make sure that you have it, and that kind of coverage that you want, that you wish you had it when you need it, and if you need it and you don't have it, you, of course, wish you had it.
We know, Larry, in the state of Florida, we have no fault.
Right.
And so we have this crazy insurance called PIP coverage.
Goes all the way back to the 1970s. You know, that coverage has not changed since the 1970s. Do you know what's
the
changed
coverage
since
limits
Yeah, the coverage limit has not. No, it hasn't changed since the 1970s. Back in the 1970s, when this came out, the average emergency room bill was about $800, and there was $10,000 worth of coverage, and everybody said, "Oh, that's good. That's a good thing to have, state of Florida. You know, that's wonderful." What's happened since the 1970s? All right, so first of all, a loaf of bread back then was 10 cents. I'm old enough to remember.
Larry, you're dating yourself.
I am. 10-cent loaf of bread. I remember when gas was less than 50 cents a gallon. Okay? Now,
I'm not messing with you about
No,
this.
you go right ahead.
No,
you go
I'm
right
not
ahead.
going to mess with you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Keep
Sunshine.
rolling. You probably remember riding horses at church too, but go ahead.
Both ways.
Both ways. No, but you're right on point.
But what about medical bills? You go to the emergency room right now, you're going to come out with a bill greater than that $10,000.
Yeah.
All it takes is one CT scan, one MRI scan, one specialty test of any sort, and you're well above that $10,000 worth of coverage.
And then you have no more coverage to help
to
you.
Draw on, yeah.
To draw on, to try to get you back on your feet. You got grocery bills, electric bills, you know, other utility bills, you need mortgage payments, car payments, you know, just living in general. And if you can't go back to work, what do you do? Because the PIP coverage does cover 60% of your lost wages, but if it's all used up,
by that emergency
60% of zero is zero. And so, you know, having this uninsured motorist coverage doesn't help you immediately, you know, to provide you the immediate benefits that PIP does, but it protects you in the long run, and those benefits will eventually come in and pay you.
Yeah.